Hi guys, it's Misty from the Book Rat, and today I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the Audible Romance Package, because that is a thing now. I have been sort of testing this out behind the scenes for the last little bit, and I have some thoughts, both good and bad, pros and cons, because there are definitely both. So if this is something you're interested in, that's what we're doing. Just a quick disclaimer, I was gifted a trial to the Audible Romance Package, as well as some kind of goodies to enjoy it, get in the mood for some romance, some bookish romance. But this is not sponsored, I'm not paid to say any of this. The opinions I'm going to share are completely honest and my own, and I didn't have to talk about it at all if I didn't want to, but there are some things I want to say. So, with that out of the way, here's what I thought. We will start with the good. I think the biggest selling point is probably going to be the fact that it is unlimited. So you can add it onto your Audible package or buy it on its own. And unlike a normal Audible package where you pay $14.95 and get a credit that you can spend on a book, this is a $6.95 add-on, and you can read or listen to as many books from the romance package category as you want within that given month. You don't keep them. So it's kind of like Netflix, you know, you're gonna binge watch, binge listen all you want, but you're not downloading them to keep by any means. But I think the price point is really great, depending on how frequently you listen to audiobooks and how quickly you go through them. I think it's a much better price point than the regular Audible service, and I kind of wish that that's just the direction they would move for all of their books across the site. It has a lot of categories. There is a lot of sort of realms that you can explore. They have home pages, sort of landing pages for a lot of the main categories, but then there are also lists, and I mean, it's long, really like niche lists. If you're into firefighters, there's a category for that. If you're into teachers or vampire romance or whatever, they've really kind of sorted it all out for you with kind of the highlights, browsable on the main page, and then further titles to explore if you don't find something that you're interested in. Within those categories, there is a nod to some diversity too. They do have an LGBT category, they have an African American category, so they didn't just only think of mainstream straight white romances. They did kind of try to give you somewhere to go no matter what your tastes are. Could there be more? I'm sure, but again, it's going to be dependent on what's out there and what's being published, so I think for the most part they really did try to take that into consideration, which is good. I don't know how often those titles show up on the main page, because every time I went on and scrolled through, I didn't really see anything that would fall into one of those categories, so they could make it more visible for sure, but it is there, so that's good. I like the kind of setup of how they have given you ways to dip your toes in the water, I guess, and sample things. So they have two things. They have a sizzling scale that helps you decide whether the book is going to be for you based on how steamy it is, or maybe it's a steaminess score. I think it's called a steaminess score. And it goes from 1, which is, I think, sweet, to 5, which is OMG. And I think that's really helpful because there are a lot of romance readers who are just looking for like a sweet Regency romance that, you know, clothes are kept on, and then there are going to be those that are like, get those clothes off as soon as you can. So rather than having to kind of scroll through and read every synopsis and decide whether it's going to fit what you're looking for, and then sometimes being wrong, it's got it laid out for you. It's letting you know this is what you're in for. And so if you don't like those, you know, softcore or hardcore romance stories, you can completely avoid them. You don't have to sully your ears with dirty words. They also have a skip to the good parts button that gives you a selection of kind of pivotal, crucial romance scenes. Things like first kiss, the actual, you know, good parts, some of the neat, oh god, nope, it's a little bit too euphemistic. The coming together of whatever, little tidbits like that, so you can get like a little sneak peek of what you're in for if you've kind of decided maybe this is the book for you, but you still want to kind of know what you're in for, and if it's going to do it for you, you do have that option. This is the controversial edition for some people, especially authors. They don't like the idea that there's a good part. Their whole book is a good part. Ugh. We get that, okay? We get it as readers. We get it. But honestly, when it comes to romance, you're gonna have very decided preferences, and sometimes you just want something quick and immediate. You are just craving a romance, you want to know that this is going to be the right one for you, and that it's gonna, like, pique your interest or whatever. I think it's nice to kind of have a little tantalizing bite. I understand where authors are coming from. I think it's kind of cheeky and clever, and it's not necessarily so much that it's going to spoil the story, or not any of the ones that I clicked on to see, you know, how the whole thing worked. But, you know, it's just a little excerpt, so I think it's okay. It also gives you a feel for the audio, and I think that's a really good thing, because audio narrators can make or break a book. So having those sort of pivotal scenes and getting a feel for, like, the mid-book narration instead of just the very beginning, I think can really be helpful in deciding whether you want to spend 7 or 12 hours on a particular book and then get into it and be like, I really don't like this. So I think it's a good thing. Some people don't like it. If you don't like it, don't use it. One last little totally insignificant pro, but one that I just was pleased with, is it's the style, it's the layout. It's not pink or red. They didn't go that cliched route, so that's great. I think it's purple, so I mean, it's still, you know, inviting and girly, but it's a little more mature, and I think that's nice. It's also just aesthetically pleasing. It looks good. You have these splash pages where different things pop up and you can scroll through, and things can catch your eye. There are recommendations based on things that you like or have rated or read, which I would imagine the more you use it, the more kind of customized and tailored to you it becomes. I can't guarantee for sure, but I would think so. And then it also has kind of things, like the homepage has things that, you know, are just trending or are new and maybe will catch your eye. Celebrity narrators, things like that. So I think it has a good kind of feel to it. So all of those things are pros. There are, however, some cons. Now I have to kind of be clear here, because I actually had a little bit of trouble with the service. The whole idea of it, the unlimited package, is app only. So you can browse while you're online, which I think is the better way to do it, and was the only way I was able to do it. You can see more at once, and you can do all the skip to the good parts and see the steaminess score. But to actually listen to the book on your device, you have to have the Audible app, and you have to download it through that. That's the only way that it works. Apparently my phone, even though it was created by Amazon, which owns Audible, just does not want to work with the Audible app, because it has its own dedicated audiobooks app that it wants to send things through, and I could not for the life of me get it to work. I tried sideloading it, I tried hacking my phone, nothing worked. So I had to listen to everything on my computer, which is not ideal, obviously. Fortunately, even though I've hated the whole Windows having apps now because it's a computer, I was able to get the Audible app on my computer, so it turned out to be a good thing, I guess. And I was able to kind of experience what the app interface is like through my computer. But I don't love the fact that you have to download through the app, because maybe you don't like the Audible app setup, or maybe you have something on your phone already, you don't want to waste the space, or maybe your phone's just not compatible, or it's not new enough and not working for whatever reason. So it's limiting, and I don't like when services are limited. I understand that it's probably because that's the only way they could keep it separate from regular Audible credits, but I just don't like limitations. You also, from what I can tell, now this might not be true, because maybe if you have the actual app on an actual phone or Kindle or whatever, maybe it's different, but from what I could tell from my experiences with the app, you don't have those little modifications. There's no skip to the good parts, there's no steaminess score. Those are only online as far as I can tell. And there doesn't seem to be any kind of design difference for the romance package books, which I think would have just been nice and made it feel more complete. I mean, I get that you've already got the book by then and you're just listening, but since it is unlimited and you can kind of do things on the fly, and if you don't like a book, go ahead and get another one immediately, it would be nice if you kind of had that carried through and had those romance package aspects still at your fingertips, literally at your fingertips on your phone, on the go. And the last one, and this isn't a huge deal, but because it's not credits, if you're busy a certain month, you don't have a credit in your account that you can go and use later. You've just lost out on that month if you didn't listen to anything. At the same time, though, I mean, that's the same as Netflix or Hulu. If you don't use your account, you don't watch anything that month, you're not gonna, like, get a free download or something. You've just lost out. That's, you should have made time, I guess. So I guess it just kind of depends on how you approach audiobooks and whether you like owning them or whether you feel like you're often too busy for like a monthly service that you might not get anything out of versus something that you'll have credits there waiting for you. That just kind of is personal preference, I think, but for me, it's not that much of a con, but it's worth mentioning. I would definitely prefer the unlimited, even if there are times that I don't have a chance to use it, just because that's going to be more valuable to me when I am able to use it. And the last thing, and again, I don't know if this will be the experience for everybody, but because I was having trouble with the app, I reached out to support and got no response, and that's a big con. Now, I want to make clear who I reached out to was the publicist that had given me the free trial and not actual Audible support. So maybe if I had gone directly through the support, I would have gotten a response and a quick turnaround time, I don't know. But because it was kind of a special circumstance, I went through the person I was already in contact with, and I didn't hear back at all, still have not. I don't know if Audible has issues in general with not getting back to people who have technical errors or anything like that, but I did have an issue, so it just bears mentioning. And there is one thing that kind of straddles the pro and con line, and that is selection. So it is a wide selection, there are a lot of categories, but it's obviously only things that they have put into the romance package category, and I don't know, there are plenty of things that could be categorized as a romance in some way that maybe didn't make the cut. I did see plenty of mainstream books, I did see things that were strictly romance as well as, you know, like YA books that do have a romance element but aren't strictly romance or maybe contemporary coming of age. So, I mean, there are definitely some mainstream things in there, but I think there's also quite a bit of maybe indie and not so mainstream and not so well known, and it kind of did feel a little flooded with those things, and it's hard to kind of weed them out. I couldn't find anywhere that you could mark like not interested so you could get rid of things like that and start tailoring your recommendations, which would have been really nice. So, I mean, it's both. There are a lot of things, but finding them might be hard, and maybe the things that you want and the things that you read might not be included. I don't know how often it will change or how often new things will be added, but you know, just browse through, I would say, before you add it on. See if there are things that you like and that would draw you in, or if it's a way you want to discover new authors, but just know that it's not open to all Audible books, or even all things that you personally might categorize as romance. It's only the selection that they have set aside for the package. There's a lot, but not everything. So, those are my thoughts on the Audible Romance Package. If you've tried it out, let me know what you think in the comments, especially if you've been able to use it on the app in the way that I wasn't. If any of the things that I said about that app are inaccurate and you haven't had trouble or you can skip to good parts or whatever, let us know that in the comments, because obviously I don't know, I wasn't able to. I will leave a link to the whole program below. Again, this is not sponsored, it's not an affiliate code, so don't, you know, feel like I'm just trying to sell you something. I'm not making any money off of this, but if you want to check it out, it will be linked below. That is all for now. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, happy reading!